So what would it look like for you if it were different? If you didn't have that responsibility and if they weren't leaning on you, what would your life look like? What would you be doing?
Oh, I would have soared higher.
You think so?
Absolutely. I feel like I'm angry at everybody in my family. I don't like my family. If they weren't my family, it wouldn't be my friends.
Well, the burden on you is the one that made it out. But you gotta be willing to let them fly.
I feel like I do. I feel like they don't let me fly.
That you were upset about stories that your overspending caused this? Because it would appear, and you can explain to us whatever you want to explain to us, but it would appear that even if you don't believe that you got the percentages you felt that you got, you still knew that there was a certain amount of money coming in. Exactly. And you overspent that amount of money.
Well, I was doing math. 1 + 1 is 2 all day long, all across the... None of my siblings have helped me take care of my mother to make sure she was okay, except for Tamar. No one said,
This is before Vincent.
Before Vincent, Mommy's car insurance is due. Let's help Toni with Mommy car insurance.
Toni Braxton didn't just hold the mic. She held down the whole family. And now, after years of keeping it classy, she's finally letting it be known. She was the money, the muscle, and the emotional glue, all rolled into one. Since she was a teen, Toni had to grow up fast, performing, paying bills, and protecting everybody, while the rest of the crew sat pretty in the front row, soaking up the fame without lifting a finger. She was out here grinding while the family leaned on her like she was built from steel. But even steel bends. Behind the sparkle of Braxton family values was a storm of resentment and entitlement they kept hush-hush, and now, Toni's done being the nice one. She's calling it like it is, especially when it comes to Trina and Tawanda. She says they crossed serious lines, stealing from her and still acting like she wasn't doing enough. Can you believe that? That kind of betrayal hits deeper than money ever could. While fans praised their sisterhood, Toni was low-key drowning, expected to feed, clothe, shelter, and keep everyone breathing like she was superhuman, all while nobody checked to see if she was okay.
Now the truth's spilling out and it's messy. Get your popcorn because we're about to finally breathe again.
The Braxtons are back on our screens, and from the outside, it looks like glitz and glam. But behind those perfect smiles, baby, it's chaos.
Toni Braxton had the voice, the awards, the glow. She looked like she had it all. But what folks didn't see was the pain hiding behind those Grammys and glossy magazine spreads. She hated the life she was stuck in. But before we dive too deep, let's give this woman her crown. Toni Braxton wasn't just a singer, she was the definition of R&B royalty. While some of y'all were still learning your ABCs, she was stacking Grammys, shutting down red carpets, and setting the standard for excellence. All while putting food on the table for a family that treated her success like it belonged to everybody.
Call her an artist if you want, but let's be real. She's a living legend. 7 Grammys, over 70 million records sold, and a voice that'll break your heart in the club and the church pew. But after all that, she barely has anything left to show for it.
It all started way back in Severn, Maryland. 6 kids, a gospel-singing mama, and dreams bigger than the living room. Toni was the oldest, and when their mom got into a serious accident and landed in the hospital, everything flipped. Childhood, that wasn't an option. It was skipped completely. Toni had to grow up instantly, becoming the stand-in mama, the caretaker, and the backbone of a whole house that leaned on her before she even had time to lean on herself.
While their dad was out grinding, trying to keep the lights on, Toni was forced to step into full provider mode. And when her career exploded in the 90s with those legendary hits like Unbreak My Heart and Breathe Again, the whole vibe at home flipped fast. Instead of clapping for her wins, her own sisters allegedly started seeing her as a walking ATM.
Toni's been real lately, talking about how drained she's been for years, not just emotionally, but financially too. She wasn't just carrying her name, she was carrying the whole Braxton legacy. The bills, Heron the car notes, Heron rent, yup, hers too. Failed business ventures with the Braxton name on them, she funded those as well. And while she's too classy to spill exact dollar amounts, Toni made it very clear. They ran her pockets dry.
Now, she didn't call out everybody by name, but let's just say Trina and Tawanda's names are being whispered loud. According to Toni, they weren't just leaning on her. They wanted to get paid to be around her, even when it was her show. And guess who wasn't acting like that? Tamar. Say what you want about her being wild, but when it came time to step up, Tamar helped out without asking for a cent. That's real loyalty. Even on stage, the drama showed. Tamar backed her up for free. But Trina? She was out here sending invoices.
Now, just to keep it fair, yes, Tawanda was working as Toni's executive assistant, so she got paid. But even with that paycheck, Toni says she still couldn't count on her for real support. And then came the gut punch, when Toni said, "I could have soared higher if I didn't have to carry so much." That hit deep, because it wasn't just about money. It was about how her whole life was spent holding everyone else up while nobody was catching her when she fell.
And trust, this family tension, it's just getting started. What began as one sister's silent heartbreak is about to turn into a full-blown Braxton expose. The secrets, the shady moments, the lies, and even the fact that Tamar apparently saw it all coming years ago. This ain't just drama. It's Braxton history unraveling.
And let's talk about Toni in the middle of all this. When it rained on her life, it poured. And we're not talking love songs. We're talking total emotional, financial, and physical wreckage. She was a whole pop icon fighting to stay at the top of a ruthless industry while trying to keep a crumbling family afloat. All that pressure, it nearly broke her. And the way people treated her when she was at her lowest, straight up disrespect. No love, no loyalty. Just hands out, expecting more.
Now, if you thought selling over 170 million records meant she was set for life, think again. Toni Braxton was out here getting robbed in broad daylight by the industry. She was earning just 35 cents per album while holding up a whole record label and keeping the family fed. But her own bank account stayed empty. That's not just unfair, that's outrageous.
70 million in sales and you got $1,972? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. That's true.
Imagine being the face of success, billboards, awards, chart toppers, and still walking into your house with empty pockets. That was Toni Braxton's reality. And when she finally stood up for herself and said, "Enough is enough," by taking her label to court in 1998, what happened next was brutal. Just 8 weeks later, she had to file for bankruptcy. Again.
Now don't get it twisted. This wasn't about reckless spending. Toni wasn't out here buying castles and yachts. She was stuck in a ruthless, one-sided contract that made her responsible for everything. From travel, studio sessions, music videos, even the clothes she wore. Basically, she was paying to be famous. She'd work, blow up the charts, look like a star, and still owe the label more money. She was financing her own career like a loan shark deal gone wrong, and got almost nothing in return.
The public had no clue how bad it really was, until Toni sat down with Oprah. What should have been a safe space turned into a cold ambush. Instead of empathy, Oprah hit her with the infamous, "If you're so famous, why are you broke?" type energy. On national TV. No compassion, no grace, just straight up shade. Toni came looking for understanding, and what she got was humiliation in front of millions.
And here's where it gets even messier. Word on the street says Oprah may have even tipped off Toni's label about the interview beforehand. Can you imagine? While Toni was trying to fight for her dignity, the industry was still plotting behind the scenes. That interview didn't just break her spirit. It flipped public opinion against her. Total betrayal on every level. Toni gave a warning. Basically told them, "Don't push me or I'll expose everything." And instead of showing any loyalty, it felt like Oprah picked the boardroom over the woman sitting right in front of her. That interview wasn't just awkward, it was a straight-up setback for Toni's whole career. But being the fighter she is, she tried to bounce back, until 2010 hit like a freight train.
Out of nowhere, Toni was diagnosed with microvascular angina and lupus. 2 serious health conditions that nearly shut her body down. It forced her to cancel her high-earning Las Vegas residency, and that was supposed to be her comeback moment. But just when you'd hope anything would go right, her insurance straight up bailed on her. Didn't cover a thing.
So guess who had to cover every last penny out of pocket? Toni. Lighting, dancers, musicians, hotel rooms, crew salaries, all of it. Gone in a flash. She was on the hook for the entire production. And with no income to balance the blow, she was backed into a corner. And yep, she filed for bankruptcy again.
But hold up. The storm wasn't done yet. Just when you think it couldn't get worse, the IRS and California's Franchise Tax Board showed up like surprise guests you never invited. They came knocking with that energy like, "Run us our money now." It was insult on top of injury, as if Toni hadn't already been through enough.
According to court docs dug up by a gossip site, things got ugly fast. The IRS filed a lien against Toni Braxton before the year even ended, December 4th to be exact. The government claimed she owed $340,252.99 in back taxes for 2017 alone. And just when it seemed like that was bad enough, the state of California pulled up right after, slapping her with another lien, this time for $116,154.64. That brought the grand total to $456,407.63 in liens. Yup, almost $500,000. And both the IRS and the Franchise Tax Board made it crystal clear. Either she paid up fast or they were coming for her property. Like, how does someone still touring, still gorgeous, still with fans around the world, end up drowning in debt over and over again?
But insiders say the issue goes way deeper than bad contracts and health setbacks. Toni wasn't just supporting herself, she was holding up a whole squad. Family bills, emotional burdens, everyday responsibilities, all of it landed on her shoulders. And that same pressure that had her cracking behind closed doors? It finally exploded when their reality show was filming.
That's when the money drama came front and center. Word is, the sisters started beefing over how much more Toni and Tamar were getting paid. And it didn't stay cute. It got heated. Reports say it got so wild that production had to pause filming. And Toni? She walked off set, allegedly saying she was done for good.
And honestly, can anyone blame her? After everything she's survived, the sickness, the shady contracts, the backstabbing, the stress, the taxes, and the spotlight dragging her through the mud, Toni Braxton is still standing. But the real question is, at what cost? And in what condition?
Let's zoom all the way in on this Braxton sister feud, because whoo, it's getting ridiculous. Just a quick reality check. We're talking about grown women here. Late 40s, 50s, bills in their name, voting rights and all, beefing like it's high school and somebody stole their lunch money. But let's be real, it ain't just about the money. These sisters just flat out can't stand each other. Honestly, how they managed to film that reality show without flipping tables is a miracle. Somebody needs to do a case study on that. Because behind the scenes, it's pure chaos. Blocking each other, cutting people off, throwing shade online. The family vibe is toxic. And Toni? She's checked out. Emotionally, mentally, all of it. She's done. Now, here's where it really stings. Before Tracy passed, Toni said they all promised to keep the peace in her honor. But that promise? Broken. Shattered. Thrown out the window. It's worse than ever now. Word on the street is Toni wants nothing to do with the drama anymore. And the proof? Not one of her sisters showed up to Tamar's cooking show premiere. Not a single one.
So what happened? Allegedly, a major blowup went down just 2 days before the event. And right after that, Tawanda hit social media with a shady post like, "To everyone who distanced themselves from me, kindly stay there." That shot didn't miss.
And the mess didn't stop there. Tawanda finally tied the knot with her longtime man, Sean Hall, after 9 years. And yes, Toni and Trina showed up as bridesmaids. But Tamar, nowhere to be seen. Not even in the background. At this point, it's clear. This family feud ain't cooling off anytime soon. It's clear now, the Braxton sisters are picking sides and the family is splitting right down the middle. The tension? You could cut it with a knife, and some of it spilled out right on their own reality show. Someone asked Towanda how she felt about not having access to Tamar. And before she could even finish, Tamar jumped in saying, "Towanda just doesn't care about me." She even claimed she's always the one reaching out first and Towanda only checks in when the cameras are rolling. Ouch!
Towanda, keeping that same slick energy, snapped back with, "I don't pour into certain vibes anymore." Translation? She's done giving Tamar any of that sisterly grace. No sugarcoating it. Towanda said she's focused on her household now. Her kids, her peace, and her man. Her man. Period.
And what's wild is, Towanda's always played the role of the level-headed one, the calm in the storm. But apparently, she's been playing the long game. Folks close to the situation say there's been low-key tension for years. Towanda leaned heavy on Toni during her divorce, especially when her pockets were tight. And look, helping family is one thing, but Toni's whole vibe now is giving, "I was there for you. So where were you when it was my turn?"
Now fans are clashing online, picking teams. Some say Towanda's always had hidden beef with Tamar. Others claim it's jealousy over Tamar's shine. But no matter the angle, this isn't just a two-sister situation anymore. The drama is affecting everybody, even Toni, the one who's been holding it all together for years. She's the backbone, the breadwinner, the peacemaker. And now, she's finally pulling back.
Some folks are saying all this family drama, the fighting, the tension, the stress, might have made Toni's health issues even worse. One fan put it perfectly. "We didn't want the Braxtons to come back just to watch them argue nonstop. We wanted to see love, that sisterhood, that bond. That's what we needed." Another said, "Sometimes you just need a long break from your family." And honestly, it sounds like they're overdue for that kind of break.
One comment that really hit home said, "Toni is owed so much, in so many ways." And then there was this one, the one that cracked the whole thing wide open. It always begins with the parents, especially their mom. She needs to be held accountable.
But let's hit rewind for a second, because in all this Braxton drama, there's one story that still cuts the deepest. Tracy Braxton. The real heartbreak in this family mess was her journey. Before Tracy passed away in 2022, she had already been carrying years of silent pain. People forget. She was basically cut from those early music deals just because of a pregnancy. That one moment changed everything for her.
She wore a smile, kept it moving, played her role. But you could feel that the hurt never fully healed. That rejection ran deep. And it didn't just affect her career. It changed the way she connected with Toni, too. Their relationship wasn't just about typical sister spats. There was a real wound underneath it all. One that fame, cameras, and contracts never managed to fix.
It was complicated. Yeah, there was love between Toni and Tracy. No question about that. But it was the kind of love that had been bruised over and over. The kind that never got the space to fully heal. And now, with Tracy gone, all that unspoken pain just lingers. Heavy, like a ghost in the room that nobody wants to face. So when Toni talks about feeling dried up, it ain't just about money. It's deeper. She's talking about emotional burnout, guilt, grief, regret. All that silent weight that comes crashing down when you lose someone and realize there's no more time to make things right. Braxton family values started off looking like a win. Fans were excited, the brand was popping, the sisters were getting their shine. But behind the scenes, it was tearing them apart. Like, imagine already having real-life family drama, and then being told to smile while a camera captures every crack in the foundation for the world to see. That's not healing. That's like throwing gasoline on a fire and calling it entertainment.
And then Toni dropped that line, "I don't want to be the strong one anymore." Whew. That line hit everybody who's ever been the oldest daughter, the rock of the family, the one who keeps it all together. That wasn't just a statement. That was a cry for help, and it hit deep.
Meanwhile, Tamar's out here trying to take steps toward healing, trying to mend broken pieces. But Towanda, her silence is screaming. No interviews, no emotion, no effort. Just that cold, quiet distance that says more than words ever could.
With Tracy gone, Toni's probably seeing things clearer than ever, realizing time don't wait on nobody. And let's be real, this ain't just celebrity gossip or viral drama. This is about a woman who gave everything, her love, her money, her energy, and finally reached her breaking point. She's tired, exhausted, but just when you think the Braxton saga can't get any messier, here comes the plot twist. Word on the street is Tamar just pulled the ultimate Braxton move, bringing her niece, Ashley Braxton, into the next season of the show. And this ain't just some random family cameo. This move is shaking up everything behind the scenes.
Here's why. Ashley is the same niece who dropped a story that rocked the whole family years ago. When she was just 16, she came forward saying Trina's then-husband, Gabe, had been texting her in a way no adult ever should. It wasn't just off, it was inappropriate. And Ashley didn't stay silent. She told her parents, like any brave teen should. And they took it straight to Trina.
At first, Trina showed support. She apologized, stood by Ashley, and had her back. But as time passed, that support faded into silence, then shade, and eventually, full-blown blame. Word is, Trina started telling folks that Ashley was old enough to know better. Some even say Trina believed something physical had happened and blamed Ashley for it.
Just let that sit for a second. A 16-year-old comes forward about being messaged by a grown man, and somehow she becomes the one getting blamed in her own family. That's the kind of deep-rooted pain that doesn't just fade. And now, with Ashley stepping back into the spotlight, old wounds are about to get ripped wide open.
Trina cut Ashley off. Cold. No explanations, no conversation, just silence. And Ashley? She's been carrying that hurt for years. No closure, no apology, nothing. Fast forward to this new, messy chapter. And guess who steps in? Tamar. The same Tamar who's clashed with pretty much every sister at some point. But this time, she's doing something unexpected. She's bringing Ashley into the show. And not just for a quick cameo. Ashley's reportedly got a real role this season.
Tamar says it's not about stirring the pot. It's about support. She wanted Ashley to finally feel like somebody in the family had her back, that she wasn't alone. But if you know how the Braxtons move, then you already know. Nothing's ever just surface level with them. The sisters are already in deep beef, to the point that production has had to stop filming more than once. And now, with Ashley stepping in, it's all bubbling up again. The old pain, the unspoken drama, all of it. Some folks think Tamar's just being messy, trying to shake the table for headlines. But Tamar insists it's bigger than drama. She says this is about finally giving Ashley a voice, letting her know not everybody in the family turned their back, that someone sees her. So is this about healing old wounds? Maybe. Or it might be the fuse that lights up a whole new round of fallout. Because let's be clear, this isn't just a niece joining a reality show. This is about betrayal, about pain that got ignored, about silence that turned into scars. And maybe, just maybe, it's finally time someone said it out loud. I'm done holding this in. Whether this next chapter heals the Braxton family or tears them even further apart, we're about to find out. But one thing's for sure. This upcoming season might just be the realest and maybe even the last time we see them all together on screen. No filters, no pretending, just raw, uncomfortable truth.
Because if there's one lesson in all this, it's that the people who seem the strongest, the ones who keep everyone else afloat, they need somebody checking in on them too. Toni has carried so much for so long, and once the cameras shut off and the lights go dim, all that's left is her truth. And that truth has been heavy for way too long.
So let me know what you think in the comments. Is this season gonna bring healing or more heartbreak? Drop your thoughts below. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more deep dives just like this. Hit that bell so you don't miss a thing, and I'll catch you in the next one.